everyone. Welcome to Stuff I Never Learned from a School Book. If you are looking at the bearded one, that must mean it's Monday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific, 2 p.m. in Hawaii, 6 a.m. tomorrow out in Indonesia, and about 9 a.m. out in Australia. Welcome, everybody, to Stuff I Never Learned from a School Book. If this is your first time here, welcome to the show. We basically talk about everything, as you saw by the opening scene right there. If you are a repeat offender, you all know who you are because I call you my audience. Welcome back. Tonight, I don't have to talk at all. I'm bringing on three wonderful ladies who are part of Peach State Paranormal. And one of them you will recognize because she's been on my show before. Actually, you should probably recognize all of them because they've actually all been on my show before as part of the P.E.R.S team. But tonight, we're going as far as the Peach State Paranormal for their team. So I am going to go ahead and just bring these three ladies in. So everyone say hello to Stephanie, Michelle, and Kelly. Hi, ladies.
Hello, everybody.
So how everyone good?
Oh, yeah. Everybody's good. Sorry. I had a squirrel moment, and I didn't even know it.
Like, wow. Okay. So I just lost the ball. One fell swoop. So.
No, I'm doing well.
So, yeah, but you all survived pretty much the start because realize that you guys are called Peach State Paranormal. So a lot of people have to understand that's really where you guys are at. So everyone's fine. Everyone's good. Obviously, Stephanie's living in some creepy ass hotel with that hallway we have here. But yeah, so she's apparently moved into some haunted hotel with all kinds of writing on the ceiling and stuff right now. So right, red rum.
Yeah.
A lot of people saying hi.
Be cute.
Right, and Michelle saying,
"Hey, Nikki."
Say hi to everybody. Hi, Rosie.
Hey, Rosie.
Michelle says that is creepy.
Oh, right? I was wondering if everybody was going to recognize it because we're going into October, which is spooky season. So
right?
I was like searching for something creepy to have in the background, and that's the first thing that popped up. And I was like, "Winner!"
Winner.
So that's what I chose.
Wendy's saying hello. Mr. Stewart out of Texas is saying hello. So Nikki would be here to say hello, but she is actually taking a little time for herself. The cancer process allows, like, they have this little retreat that she can go pamper herself with like massage and pedicures and everything else and stuff like that. So she decided to take advantage of that today after her busy day back at school. So she is out and about there now. So she will be popping in shortly, probably in about a half an hour. So you'll see her pop in and say hi to everybody. Hi, Kathy. How are you? And Wendy says, I have a witch tree where I'm staying. Really cool to see every day. Hi, Sylvie. It's funny because a lot of people will not see. So just so you know, I have people that are popping in from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And if you are running on one set, like if you're just on Facebook, you will only see the Facebook comments. YouTube will see the same thing and Twitch will see the same thing. So not everybody sees all the comments I do. So a lot of people who are watching the comments roll in know that you are not missing anything. I will post them as I normally do. But it's just a lot of chatter back and forth between everybody because they know each other. But ladies, just so you are aware, I forgot to tell you this behind stage. If someone's going to ask a question or someone's making a comment that I feel needs to be read, I will read it out loud first because a lot of our audience is either at work, sometimes they're cleaning their home or whatever else, and they just put the headphones on, so all they're doing is listening to us. They're not watching us. So if one of you just automatically go, well, that's because of this, and they're like, what the hell did they just talk about? So I will read out the question first so people know what's going on. So other than that, welcome to the show. We all three kind of know each other simply because of our connections through other locations online and like I said, the P.E.R.S team and stuff like that. But for the audience, I always tell the people how we met. I actually met all of you through P.E.R.S. I have not had the pleasure to meet any of you personally yet. And Stuart is chiming in with, the background all working with Jack and Doughboy. So yes.
That's right.
But luckily it's not Jack. That's a good one. But that's how I met all of you, is basically through online, through our other teams. Other people that have had on my show is because I go to like a Mystic Fest or a horror Anything else. You have only had the pleasure of meeting with online until our fearless leader gets himself together and decides to find a place. All of us will meet up and actually scare the ghosts instead of having the other way around. So,
Right. Is he listening? Where is he?
Bill, you there?
He's not there yet. He's not there yet. He'll probably chime in and at least say hi if he's listening. But it's like Beetlejuice. He'll probably show up in like 10 minutes. So, like,
Say his name 3 times.
You won't even have to say it 3 times.
Yeah, right. Yes, we're talking about Bill. Yep. But do me a favor, because I know you a little bit, but my audience would love to know who you are. So if you would all please take a little time and introduce yourself, let them know who you are and what brought you into becoming part of a paranormal team. I don't care who goes first. You all decide.
Yeah, Kelly or Michelle goes first because I've already done this once before, so I'll go last this time.
You want to go, Michelle? Sure, why not? So I'm the old one on the team. I know that everybody knows that, but so I have been doing this or had this ability to do psychic medium stuff since I was about 4.5 years old.
So
for my entire life. So
years, right?
It's been
right 34 and a half.
Yes.
That comes out to 39. My math is good. So 39 years old.
Yeah, my whole life. Actually, I was in a car accident when I was 4, a little over 4. My mother died in that accident, and I did. They brought me back, but ever since then, it's just been a flood of stuff for me. So it's been a lifetime thing for me of, the whole, I see dead people. I talk to dead people. It's always been there for me. I don't know anything else. So that's kind of where I started from.
How do you see them? I told you, I'm just going to run in with questions because
it's actually different. It's different for different, things or different people or different energies. Sometimes I don't see them at all, but in my head.
Right.
Sometimes I physically see them. Sometimes I can see a hand, but nothing else, or a head, or a side of a figure, or an entire figure. It just depends.
Do they always show you? Do they always show you them how they passed, or do they show you how they looked before passing, or like when they were alive?
That also changes. Sometimes it's how they want you to see them, and sometimes it's how they actually are. Because sometimes I'll see someone who may be 60, and I'll see them portrayed as 20.
Right.
But I know they're 60. When they died, they were 60, but they're showing me themselves as when they were 20.
Okay. Sorry, I got a first question, so you all got to wait. Stuart's asking, has Michelle ever talked to her mom? So since your mom passed in that accident, have you ever had the ability to speak with your mom? Or, I mean, you got to know your mom's around, but do you speak with your mom?
I do not. She is around, but this is kind of strange. I am the one who sees her the least. Other people will tell me she's there, but I don't see her myself.
But to me, that's not strange, because there are so many people that tell me that they can't see their own relatives. That's a common practice that you can't see your own relatives. I can't see my father, but I know he's there because everyone else describes him as this huge monster man that stands behind me and guards me and will not let you penetrate through my mind unless I allow him to. But I don't know. I know he's there, but I have never seen him before or talked to him. So, and I've only talked to my mom once, and that was when she passed. And she ran over to happen to be someone I was speaking with to a medium. And my mom said, well, tell my son this. And the lady described my mom. I go, well, that's my mom. I go, just tell her to come talk to me. And like, it was instantaneous. She's like, okay, bye. And like came and started talking to me. But that's like the only time she talked to me, just to say everything was good. So yeah. So, all right, Kelly, on to you.
Okay. So I don't really ever remember a time when I didn't have, premonitions, a lot of deja vu. I would say that I really started, I wouldn't even say understanding my gifts, but recognizing them when I was a teenager and we lived in a haunted house. And then fast forward to college, I used to have a lot of dreams that would come true. I would try to talk to my parents about it, especially my mom, and was just kind of cast aside as, you have a very vivid imagination. And as I got older, certain things started happening in which, I would have a premonition, I would say it, and then it would come true. And that started freaking out a lot of people. So similar to Michelle, I've always, known and seen dead people. Sometimes the message would be clearer than others. I've had experiences with sleep paralysis and some not so nice entities hovering over me. I still have to try to keep them at arm's length. It just, it's like a box of chocolates. You just never know what you're going to get.
Right.
So, you just kind of have to roll with it. I shut it off for a while because it got to be after 9/11, because I had a premonition of 9/11. And I'll never forget that. It was 2 weeks of dreaming about some things on an airplane and the airplane crashing. 9/11 is also my birthday, not to get too TMI. And it really affected me. And so I shut it off. I didn't shut it off in the correct way. I used a lot of sleep aids for several years and then finally figured out that probably wasn't very good for me. And as soon as I stopped that, you call it an awakening, Tom, with some of the talks that you've been on. This was like a reawakening, but imagine that reawakening coming to life through someone with a big gong, just ringing and reverberating into your head until you just say, okay, I get it. I accept it. And now I'm going to run with it. And that's about the time that I met Stephanie and Michelle. So that was, the awakening. The second awakening happened probably 6-7 years ago. It didn't calm down until I met Stephanie and Michelle.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. At least that was your kind of your sounding board to help calm that down. Was these two? So
definitely.
So really quick, Nikki's saying hello. She's
Hey, Nikki.
Hi, Nikki.
So,
Glad to hear.
So it was interesting. I don't know which one of you were setting me off. I'm not quite sure yet. But when I asked for you three to start talking, all of a sudden my tinglies started happening, and I'm like, okay, here we go.
So it started like with who started talking first?
I
I
did.
can't remember.
Michelle.
Somebody, yeah.
Michelle started talking first, but I don't know if it was Michelle, because it was when I said, okay, thanks, Michelle, and I switched to Kelly, all of my tingles started, but I was getting ready to say, well, I was thinking that, okay, Stephanie's coming up next. So I already in my squirrel mind, I put all three of you in the same sentence in a matter of a half of a blink of an eye. And all of a sudden, oh, too much. Stop. So I was like, okay, one of you is about to set me off, or maybe all three of you. I don't know.
Have you seen what we do to Bill's office?
No.
Like we make all the lights in Bill's office flash.
Yeah. Stephanie has had to experience the fact that I now have to have a large chunk of shungite at the front of my machine, because high vibrations together seem to make us break a lot of
Break the
electronics.
internet.
Yeah, that's why I have shungite sitting on front. So, but yes. So Nikki wants to let you know, she says, hi, everyone else. I won't be able to say hi to each of you individually, talking about the audience as well, because she's going to driving, and she's, a responsible driver, and she'll be listening to us, but she will not start typing. So
Be safe, Nikki.
Yeah.
Drive safely.
And Michelle, you're absolutely right. Squirrel. Hello, welcome already. So that's what's going on. Okay, Steph, bring it on.
So my story is just like theirs. I've always been really kind of drawn to like weird stuff, paranormal. Even as a kid, just really spooky, and just not being afraid of, watching hold up, somebody froze. Or was it me?
I don't see you frozen.
I don't.
Okay,
moving.
good.
So
Nobody's moving. I was like, ah,
It's the poltergeist.
we were
Right.
enthralled with the
just when we were
conversation.
just talking about breaking the internet. Yeah.
We were just enthralled.
So
So we were just
those things never scared me. Now, I really got kind of weirded out back in the day, and I'm kind of ashamed to say it, but kind of not, because it used to be my favorite show when Ghost Adventures came on. I didn't start watching it until 2011, and that was my show. Every day, I'd work, come home. I think it came on Friday or Saturday night. I think the old episodes came on Friday night. So after work, it was Little Caesars Pizza, like feeding the kids, turning the lights out, and that was the show I was watching. And then, of course, they had the new episodes on Saturday night. So that's what I did religiously for like a year. But and I was like getting all scared. I never investigated until 3 years ago, until I met Michelle and Kelly. So to see, them do it, and with the different devices and going through the buildings and screaming and hearing EVPs and stuff, it was like, no way. But I was so fascinated by all of that. And from there, it kind of blossomed into watching other shows and other people and other investigators. And then I think we were just barely into the pandemic. And I was scrolling through Facebook, and I was in a group that's local here to Atlanta, and somebody was, advertising to start a new paranormal group. And I was like, boom, I'm doing it. And when I joined and met Michelle and Kelly, and we've just been together ever since, and we're inseparable, pretty much.
Yeah. Yep.
And we pretty much, our stories are all similar, even though we're different people and we've had different experiences. They're pretty much the same, how everything just came together and how we met. It's kind of uncanny, actually.
Yeah, kind of a meant to be type of thing. So
Definitely.
yeah. So perfect. So with that said, how long have you all been together? Because y'all said around the same time, but no one said an actual time. So how long have you been together?
4 years?
Was it 2021?
Yeah, I mean, going on 4 years.
Yeah, going on 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember. The pandemic started in 2020.
It was
I believe.
2020, and then because we had our first meeting with the previous
August.
team, like, was it August?
Mm-hmm.
We did, yeah. We did. So it was in 2020.
Yeah.
Oh man, 4 years.
Yeah,
Is it?
going
No,
on.
it's 3 years. I can't add.
Well, I don't know. It seems like yesterday, but at the same time, it just seems like we've always known each other. I mean, we have such a close and tight bond that it's hard to explain. And
It's already been 4 years.
It's been 3 years. It was 2021 because I actually missed our initial meeting with the group because I was in the hospital with COVID. Yeah.
That's right.
It's been 3 years.
Michelle's keeping it straight. She said, yeah, it was during the summer.
Thanks, Mickey.
Thanks, Vicky, because she was with us too.
So there you go.
2021. There she goes.
So there you go. Man.
It seems like it's been forever, though.
It does. I mean,
we never get tired of each other.
Wow.
Whole family. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
See? Yeah. And
That's
Rosie
exactly
said,
how it feels.
yeah. So this is why that I am thousands of miles away from you because, oh my goodness, I would pick on you like the little brother that you never wanted. So yes, it makes sense. And of course, Bill would be the weird uncle. So
Fred.
I'm really waiting for
Sorry,
you
you didn't hear me say that.
I didn't. Oh, didn't. I'll edit that part out later. But yeah. So when you guys decided to come together, what was the? I don't want to say what was the goal, but what was it that you were going to do? Was it going to just be home investigations of places that were well known, helping others? What was it that you put down on paper that said this is our standard operating procedures? What's your SOP?
All the above.
All the above.
All the above. Mm-hmm.
All
of it. Just dive right in.
Yeah, with helping others, I think is number one. I mean, that's always our first goal is to help people.
Yeah.
Because that's just who we are. But yeah, definitely all of the above. We we'll run towards any opportunity.
So Veronica says, Mom gave me a sign today. Shout out to Steph. You're the best. Have a great night, everyone. So there you go.
Thanks, Veronica.
Hello, buddy.
I would say, we're not that team who just wants to go tell you if your home is haunted. We want to fix it for you.
Right.
And that's kind of where we're a little different than some teams. We don't just go investigate. Our whole goal for investigating is to fix it if
Right.
that's the desired outcome.
And if that's what it is. So sometimes you go to a location and you're like, no, there ain't nothing here. Sometimes that just happens. So then you kind of try to figure out what it is that's screwing them up or making them wonder what's going on.
Well, I'm sorry. I was going to say the advantage with the three of us together is that we already know before we go if nothing's there. And so if there's nothing there, we don't go. And I know that might sound a little bit cold, but I would say 99% of the time, we already know nothing's there between the three of us. Now, one of us may pick up something different than the other two, but if all three of us agree, we don't go. If we think there's the slightest doubt that, okay, maybe something's trying to trick us, we will go. And that has happened where I've put down on my impressions, I'm not picking up anything. I don't think anything's there. And then as soon as I pull into the driveway, I have the, oh crap moment.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've actually been lucky enough to work with Steph a couple of times. And she and I have had to put our collective minds together to come up with some stuff. And we're like, hold on a second. That's different than what we originally thought and what we've heard or anything else. So it's interesting to collaborate with others to really be able to soundboard off of each other to figure out what it is. So it's good the three of you working together because you do relate so well that your consensus is probably pretty quick, I would assume. That once you decide what it is or what it isn't, then you guys can start moving from there pretty rapidly in order to help out if that's what's needed. And it seems like it's a good tie together. So I have to ask who, not because there's any reason for it, but just because I'm nosy. Who met who? So Kelly, did you come in after Stephanie and Michelle met?
We all came in at the same time, I thought.
We all came in at the same time. Actually, Stephanie and I would have met first because Michelle was in the hospital when we when we were with another team. We had to go through like an orientation period and training. And so that was the very first meeting. And then I can't remember, it was one investigation where I think, Stephanie, I don't think you were able to go to that investigation. And it was me and Michelle. And that's where that one particular male entity kept following me around and wanted to go home with me. And I just didn't want to have anything to do with that. And that's, I think, where Michelle and I kind of first were starting a bit of a bond. And then the next investigation, I think all three of us were together.
Mm-hmm. It's like we just drew to each other, out of the entire group, we kind of just drew together.
Yeah.
And, we just started immediately. We're able to intertwine with each other, and it's funny how sometimes we don't tell each other what we're thinking or what impressions we get or what we're seeing. We'll put our stories together later.
Right.
And between all of our stories, we can create an entire storyline, an entire picture.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, weird that we're always on the same page. We're always thinking the same, and, we're always going down the same path. So
the three of you, when I asked the question, what do? You all said all of that together. So now my question, switch gears. You all like to do all these different types of investigations, personal at home for helping others, checking the cool places out, like the creepy hallway that Stephanie's sitting in front of, stuff like that. What do you like doing better, helping the individual or doing the investigations in like the haunted locations that we know about that resonate with a lot of people that want to go through and do the investigations?
So what I would say is that the reason that I like to do those investigations that we know about haunted is that it kind of hones your skills a little bit. Or you might come across something that you haven't encountered before. And, you learn how to deal with different things. I would think that the most rewarding for me, though, is to help someone, because that's why I do it. I'm a Christian by faith, and if those two don't often compute sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And so it's been difficult for me over the years to really do this. I never told anybody about it, because growing up in a Baptist Christian family, that was not something that you would discuss at dinner.
Correct.
So, it was way after, and I'll tell you, the very first time I encountered something evil, actually a demonic presence, was at church.
Oh yeah.
It came running up behind me at church one night, and I knew immediately what it was. It scared the bejesus out of me then. I stood my ground, but I knew immediately what it was. And so from that point forward, I knew that I had a purpose and I needed to help people with this.
Yeah. Yeah. You two, Steph, Kelly, what's your favorites?
I would like to say each one has its own level of.
Such a cop-out answer.
No, I love investigating, and I do like to go to the places that are well known, but I also like to try to get into the places that I think might have something going on, but isn't really open to the public for investigation. Like it's just not in the opportunity there. So I like to try to reach out to places, and down here in the Bible Belt, it's really, really hard to. When you're trying to get into like in an old museum or an old plantation home. I've gotten some pretty I expected to get the responses that I've gotten, and I was still very nice about it. And of course, I know they don't mean any disrespect. It's just strange, to think that if the museum that you work in every day might have something else in there with you. So I can understand how they would be weirded out and be like, no, this house is not haunted. I actually had one museum up the road for me say, do you know who lived in this house? Like, it was some well-known reverend he was compared to Jerry Falwell. I didn't recognize the name, so I was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean no disrespect, but they were like, he used to live here, and so there's nothing in this house. And I'm like, okay, so just move on.
Sure.
I like the thrill of investigating, but I also do like helping people. And for me, I think they're even weighted 50-50 for
it is.
Both. I just don't know which one I like more.
The cop out from Stephanie.
I think I like the residentials.
Yeah.
Because you never know what you're going to get. So before we even go into a residential investigation, we have the client fill out a questionnaire. We'll do a Zoom meeting. And a lot of times that's really helpful because we can remote view into things and have an idea of what we're getting into. There have been times where other people have done the interviewing and I've gone in cold, or both Michelle and I have gone in cold. And like I said, there have been times where I just, I'm a pictures person. Whatever reason, one of my gifts is reading pictures. That doesn't mean that somebody can pop a picture in my face and I can read it and tell you everything that's going on. That's not really how it works. So just in case people are wondering, that's not how it works. But I looked at the Zillow picture of this particular house and just got nothing, and was thinking, oh, this is going to be an early evening, and that's it. And when I pulled into the driveway, and I think Michelle was right behind me. I mean, I wasn't even in the driveway. I was in the subdivision and started feeling things, got into the driveway, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a long night. And it was a long night with just a bunch of of different things. And so from the aspect of residential, you just really don't know, despite the interviews, despite the remote viewing, the video calls, you really don't know what you're going to get into.
Yeah.
And you may go walking into a place with one expectation, you get everything set up, thinking, okay, I don't think there's anything bad here, or sometimes you just get certain impressions, and then you get there and it's a totally different ball game. And sometimes that ball game can be a little scary.
Okay. Did anybody else? I'm just curious because I know who's setting me off now, Kelly. Did anyone else see the blink of light below her light, like below this light right here? The white flash that happened right on like that little desk or whatever's right there. That was right down that corner, that little quick flash of light besides me. Other side.
The lamp behind you, Kelly. There you go.
There's nothing
I didn't see it.
I'll
Right.
have to tell you, we do this with each other all the time, so we just kind of ignore it. We just go with the flow.
I do my best to ignore it, but every once in a while, it was weird because you're talking and the shoulder you're looking over right now, Kelly, down, whatever's sitting next to your lamp. I don't know if that's a little dresser or a desk or whatever it is.
It's a nightstand, and there's nothing on or in the nightstand. It's
What I saw, I'm like, okay, so where my hand is right here on the lower part right here, it flashed twice like a white, really fast. So I don't know if anyone who saw this, but I definitely saw it because I was watching you, I was listening to you, and I saw the double white flash, and I was like, really, we're gonna have this game tonight? So
there's nothing there. My house is for sale. This room is pretty much empty except for furniture.
Right. So I don't know what I'm seeing or what I'm picking up on, but there was something right there. So Stuart's asking, do older houses hold the most energy or newer houses on old areas of trauma?
Oh gosh, that depends.
Yeah, it varies. We have both those cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. Sometimes it just depends on the land. And sometimes
The people.
not the people. It can be the land, the people. Sometimes it can be antiques. I would really, really like to investigate the storage place that I'm renting right now, because I go in there and I feel like all of a sudden there are just entities like lining up behind me. And in fact, when I walk out of that building, I have to turn around and say, okay, nobody's allowed to follow me home. You have to stay here.
Yeah.
I don't like to go into that building. And I only go in the daytime, and it still creeps me out. It's a storage facility. I mean, it's a very secure place, well lit. But yeah, some people have some antiques or some things that have entities tied to them in that building. It's creepy.
Yeah, the building that I work in is like that. My building that I work in is huge. It's big enough that the hallways are wide enough for 3 trucks to drive in side by side, because it used to be where they built the old B-29s. And that was the areas where they would basically like the assembly line and wheel them in and everything else. But there were so many people who passed away for equipment falling on them or whatever else. There's also 2 pilots that crashed because they were also testing them out there, and 2 pilots that crashed into that building. So there's that building. When I walk in the morning, I'm just like, hey, everyone, how you doing? Because they're just there and I can feel them and I know they're there. And one of them freaked me out because I went to rinse out something in the sink and I hear the shower turn on and I'm like, all right, cool, nice trick. Do it again. And they did it again. But I couldn't see the shower. And I know no one's in there with me because I'm there at 5 o'clock in the morning and no one else is, because no one else is that dumb to get up that early. So I'm in there and then I'm like, all right. So I walk around to go check out the shower and I heard the shower twice, but the floor is completely dry. And I'm like, oh, that's a neat trick right there. That's a good one.
That is a good one.
Oh, so.
People assume that old houses are haunted or old buildings, and that's not necessarily true. I've walked into a brand new home that was haunted just because one of the workers brought someone in there with them and they stayed. So you just never know.
Yeah. There's so just so we're aware. All right, quick question for you three. Oh, that's right. You're all in Georgia. I'm going to be in Alabama. Never mind. So in December, I have to go from Alabama, and I'm also driving up to Tennessee. So I was going to try to squeak some time in, but I'm only in Alabama for like 3 days, so I can't like pull a weekend off and come over and visit. But I noticed when I was down there, like there was tons of places. Because at one point I drove from North Carolina to South Carolina because it was much faster for me my layover was in North Carolina, and where I was driving at in South Carolina, the drive was going to take me like 2 hours, and my layover was 4. So it was going to be much quicker for me just to pick up my car and then just drive down and drive back. And they took me down some weird back road stuff. But there were so many cool places I wanted to stop at because I can just feel it in my head. And I'm like, I can't stop. And I'm like, but I really want to stop. But I can't stop. I really want to stop. So, which brings me to my next question. Have you all, because Stephanie kind of brought it up. It's your fault, Stephanie, to make me think of this question. Have you all investigated a place that you should not have investigated? That was off limits.
As in, like, we didn't have permission? Or?
Correct. You did not have permission, but you were like, you know what, ladies?
As a group, we have not, because we try to abide by the rules.
Oh, so it's Stephanie's fault. Got it. Yeah.
Now, are you talking about like cemeteries and stuff? Because I mean, if I'm around one, now I do like to take, black and white photographs of cemeteries. So while I'm there,
like
I'm
when I was
without like my recorders.
Where I was driving through, there were places that were roped off and it was overgrown, but I could tell that there was an old plantation house back there, and that's where I really, really wanted to stop. But
so
I was
down here. That sounds like a lot of fun, but I don't know about where Kelly Michelle live. Maybe Michelle, because she lives kind of far out too. Out here, if you go on somebody's property that isn't yours, you could get shot.
Yeah,
yeah.
Don't worry, I was armed. So,
so you're going to
happen. Yeah, that has happened. My brother, when we were younger, Dad's property, I mean, all the land out here was huge. So it's not uncommon that, somebody has 25 acres, 30 acres, and they are all lined up together and they border. And one day my brother thought it would be nice to hop the fence out back and just cut across the field behind the house to get to the interstate, the highway. And he won't make that mistake ever again in his life, because him and his buddy hopped that fence and they got about halfway through the field, and all of a sudden you hear So people out here they won't shoot at you, but they will let you know that you're not supposed to be there. So that's always something that you got to watch out for, especially out in the boonies and stuff.
Yeah,
and then deer hunting season. I mean, because there's a lot of hunters in Georgia, and so when it's deer season, you don't want to be wandering around out in the woods anywhere. The only time that I went somewhere that didn't technically have permission, it was near my sister's house, and it was on what was the original Weems Plantation property, and it was a cemetery. So, I mean, the Weems Plantation used to cover, thousands of acres way back when. The plantation home was on taps. They don't open the home anymore because of, unfortunately, people would go into the home when it was a bread and I can't even talk right. Bread and breakfast. Thank you. And would steal things. And so finally they just shut it down. They won't let anyone investigate anything like that. My sister actually lives off Weems Road and knows the owner as well. But there is an old abandoned cemetery. They think it was probably an enslaved people's cemetery with unmarked graves. And so several years ago, we went back just, exploring a little bit, and it was a little bit creepy. So we didn't have permission, but at the same time, we knew we weren't going to get shot at that particular location. So
Yeah, Stewart states, I grew up where some houses were from the 1600s, and some of them just seemed spooky from the outside. Yeah, a lot of it with the overgrowth and just the darkness. And sometimes you just feel the energy, because Stewart picks up on a lot of stuff too. But sometimes you can just feel it from the outside. You just know. So yeah, and some of them just seem.
You know which ones you don't want to stop.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Then you're just too dumb to know any better. You want to stop at all of them. So Margaret states, the original owner of my home is here. She just watches, and I know that she led me to this house so she can stay. Yeah, and that's something that she says, no overgrowth, people still living in them. Well, maybe just the people living in them now are creepy. So
Yeah.
But with what Margaret said, that happens a lot. There's a lot of locations where we've been to, or I've been to, or whatever else, where they have a mix. Some of the people, they don't mind being there, or they don't mind a person being there, but there's something else that's there too that they want gone. So you really have to teach them if they're going to do that, or assist them and letting them know how they can tell the ones they want to stay can stay, but the other ones have to go. So sometimes they have to learn how to play that game, because if they just try to banish something that's there, they may end up banishing everything. And then it goes quiet, and they're like, what happened? What'd I do? So then you really got to pay attention to, especially for like you guys, when you're doing home clearings for other people. Maybe there are loved ones there that are looking over them and everything else, and that's not the feeling they're getting. They're getting a feeling of something that's unwanted. But you walk in and you go, look, just so you know, I don't want to freak you out, but you have 3 entities here. 2 are people that love you and are watching over you. One of them is the one you want gone. How do you want to play this? You know, because you kind of got to ask him, do you want all 3 of them gone? I mean, do you really want to banish your grandma? Or do you just want that one gone? So how do you deal with stuff like that? How do you take on challenges like that where it's just not just a straight up house cleansing?
I can't speak for Michelle or Kelly, but I don't actually find that particular scenario challenging, because it's all about your intention. And you can speak that intention to everybody that's present in that space. And for us, it wouldn't be our intention, it would be the homeowner's intention. But if there was something there that they wanted gone, but they really didn't want to clear everything out.
Right.
Depending on what that energy was, we could help them clear just that one out. I don't think that we've ever had an issue with inadvertently clearing out everything.
No, we haven't.
Because we can, because between the 3 of us, we can identify who's who. And, and then just clear out the things that don't need to be there. So we're not going to, if you want grandma to stay because she's what, you feel like she's watching over you and we're not getting any bad vibes off grandma, then grandma can stay. If we think something is pretending to be grandma, we're going to say, okay, yeah, that's not really your grandma. It's something else. But it's up to the homeowner. I mean, we're not going to, if they say, I don't care that it's not grandma, that it's something else. I love it, her, whatever. I want it to stay. Then we're not going to mess with that and get the homeowners mad at us. But we will let them know that
it's there.
Right.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we also have this scenario where we go into a location and there's more than one entity or not, but we will find that entity or entities, one of them will connect with one of us and another one will connect with another one of us better. And so that individual will deal with that entity.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll get the help of the other energies there. They will kind of stand back behind us and help us.
Right.
Yeah.
We've had that happen.
So I want to let the audience know, I know that other questions are coming in. I will get to them. Please be patient. But I'm a one-man band, and I'm letting the girls answer everything. So cool. No one's being impatient. I'm just kind of letting them know because I have some new people on here. So I'm just kind of sharing it with them that I actually am starring them so I can remember to go back to them. Michelle would like to know, how do you girls detect portals?
We have a radar.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah. It's
We
like,
go in and we go, oh crap.
right.
Yeah.
One of the biggest indicators is just you can't keep focused. You can't keep one
Right.
thought. We're like all running around doing like, what are we doing? What is going on here? And it's just like a whirlwind
I
of
call
stuff
it just the
doing this
swirly
around
whirly.
you.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
the swirly whirly. Yeah.
I mean, it's almost disorienting.
Yeah.
It's like somebody put you in a spinner and just kept spinning you and then did a sudden stop and you're just like,
Whoa. Yeah.
what?
We actually did that.
What the heck?
We did that. We were at the Jasper jail, guys. Remember we were in the cabin and we were like going around the
Yes.
table for some reason and we're like
Yes.
doing this like what are we doing?
We were. Well, we kept looking up. Remember that? Because, and I think I had the thermal out and, we're just like, what is that? What is that? What is going on? And then we
each had one device and we're like, what's going on? Yeah.
And there was like, wait, time out.
So Michelle P, because I have Michelle B here. So Michelle P, I know I'm not one of the girls. I don't have the pretty hair. But for me, I actually see portals, and I actually see like if they're out in the open or out on the wall or wherever that, I actually see the shimmer. It's almost like water, like a water ripple for me. So that's how I actually can see portals, because they show up to me that way. So Stuart says, can a spirit invite another spirit into a place?
Absolutely.
Yes.
As much as you don't want them to, sometimes they will.
They have conversations. Like we have EVPs where we have multiple EVPs from various locations we have heard full on conversations of entities speaking to other entities. I mean, and it's fascinating because you'll be listening and and it takes a minute to really let it absorb.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wait, because you'll hear like one EVP voice say something or almost like ask a question. And then you'll hear another EVP voice answer. And sometimes they're really clear. Sometimes they're like a Class C EVP, but we've captured a few Class A EVPs. And to me, that's really fascinating.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
It is. Sometimes it is amazing because they all sound the same, but they're different voices by different people. And it's like they're having a party, like, hey, come back. Look. So I find that fun to listen. I could listen to EVPs. Now, documenting them is one thing when you have to like write everything down, but the listening part's the best.
I mean, there was one EVP that was captured, and basically the EVP was, hey, they can hear us. And I think they were talking about me, Stephanie, and Michelle, because, we can hear them. And I thought that was fascinating because it was very clear when it said they can hear us.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's actually an interesting one because that's been repeated numerous times so a handful of times, a lot of times when people go on investigations and I'm not there, they'll ask me to watch because I can pick up stuff through what their video. And a lot of times I will hear those comments when they're playing the EVPs, like they can hear us, or they're listening to us, and so that seems to be a common thing for them when they realize, crap, these people can actually hear us. We got to keep it down a little bit. So almost like they got busted. So, so Crystal, I will make the correction as well. Crystal asked, has anyone ever investigated an old cult site like where a mass suicide occurred? I wonder if those places would be haunted, especially since a lot of them were forced into it. So has anyone done a cult site?
Not.
Okay.
Not cult sites, no.
No.
I have I can't say that I haven't, but it wasn't when I had my abilities. How's that? So,
Gotcha.
but I knew something was wrong when I was there. Apparently I've had my abilities for a very long time, but I just did not realize I had abilities. But they always kind of kept me safe through a lot of the things I did before I actually understood I had abilities. So that kind of, but in my younger days, it hasn't changed. I'm still too dumb to know any better. But in the younger days, we would go hang out and stuff like that as well, and stuff like that. So not during the cults actually there, but we would go to the sites where they used to be. So that's kind of how my background is. Rosie wants to know, can spirits be nice at first and then turn mean, or are they just mean from the get-go?
Oh no, they can be anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they can portray as really nice. Sometimes I'll use the term trickster, where they're trying to kind of draw you in, and they'll present themselves as one thing or one way. And then, on the turn of a dime, you're dealing with something that is not very nice.
Yeah. And they'll do the opposite too. Sometimes they will seem very, very mean. And it's just because they're tired of the investigations being so aggressive that they will portray themselves as something demonic even, or something more gregarious than they are. They will show themselves greater than they are. Sweet, I got to use gregarious today. That's fantastic. But greater than they are. But if you, I want to say, wear them down through kindness, a lot of times they will reveal themselves as being that kinder, gentler, but they just don't understand because maybe the last group of investigators just come through was very antagonistic. So you have that as well. So you have both sides of that side. William's saying tricksters. Yep, tricksters. Absolutely. They have tricksters out there as well that will do that. Crystal said, I have some EVPs and a little boy saying my name and answering yes and no questions with the flashlight method. Yeah, that's pretty solid. Yes and no for me seems to be the best questions to ask because that seems to be the easiest for them to answer. Open-ended questions kind of suck for them unless you're asking for something like an obulus or through something that they can portray a voice through. But unless you're kind of doing the Satori method where they hold hands and go through the alphabet and try to spell everything out one letter at a time, closed-end questions are the best way to go when you're on an investigation.
Yeah, we
I
don't
can't
need
spell, so that wouldn't work for me.
Yeah, that would. I mean, they actually tell us. I mean, we don't have to spell it. They just
right. Yeah.
come out with it.
People that don't have the abilities. Let me caveat. People that don't have it. They just talk in my ear and tell me what I'm supposed to say. So,
what I actually like better than the flashlight method, because sometimes, you can basically manipulate that a little bit on the human side, is I rather would use the REM pod, because with the REM pod, you've got 4 different lights. And I've been on an investigation where we can say, okay, if your answer is yes, light up the blue light. If your answer is no, light up the purple light. Yeah. And so to me, that's a little bit more concrete on the evidential side, because you're being very specific on which light that you want them to light up.
Yeah. For when we did when Nikki and I went on an investigation at there was a winery down south of us, but we went there, but it was the push flashlights, and we set them up. So they actually had to push the button and not just turn it on. And the first one was pretty quiet, but it used to be a place where it was during World War II, and surprisingly enough, this place actually had injured Germans, and it was almost kind of like where they were helping them heal and everything else. So we went in there, and I started speaking German, and the lights were turning on and off sporadically. And the guide was like, and it was a group. There was like 10 of us. And the guide's like, well, I haven't seen that before. And I go, oh, wait. And then I started speaking Polish. Holy crap. The lights went nuts.
You know Polish?
Yeah, I know. I know about 7 languages. So
wow.
I started speaking Polish, and the lights started going nuts. And it was just like, what is going on here? Like, they were like, I've never seen this before. And I'm like, well, because you never antagonized them enough by speaking.
Always.
they don't like. So, I just wanted to see the results. And the guy was like, yeah, if you have a way to make them do this, then let's do this. Is there any place that you have investigated that you do not want to go back to? Any place you were just like, nope, out, deuces. So
We have gone to a location that we're hesitant that we felt we should wait to go back to. But we will go back. It's I have gone to some places outside of this group here, long times where I would not go back without the right individuals with me.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I can say that for sure.
Understand
Yeah, I mean, some places
There's
you
one that I probably would not go back to, only because, I mean, there's nothing pulling me to go back to that location. Like, one experience there was enough, or maybe was it twice? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't. But there wasn't any that you were just like, no, nope, not worth my experience to go back again because it freaked the bejesus out of me, and the sulfur smell and the growl was just enough to make me go, nope, got it.
Yeah.
See ya. So
It would have to be a pretty boring place for me to say, oh, I'm never going back to that place. I think we're kind of weird, and I don't know about Michelle or Kelly, but what you're saying is, places that people would turn around and run from. I would probably be like, let's go to the basement, the attic. That would be me.
That's how we're different, I think, because we will go in if they're going out. Yeah.
And that's how I am. In fact, it brings up Crystal's question. Her statement. She says, "I was told never to investigate on my own. Always have someone with you."
Yes.
That is a fantastic rule to live by, unless you're me, because you're too dumb to know any better. I am that person. I don't care what it is. I don't know why. I want to do the investigation part separately for a reason. But then I'm finding people coming afterwards. But on my own, a lot of times I will go in by myself because I think that's my true form of feeling what I'm going to feel. I think if others are with me, it may detract, or they may try to alter what I'm supposed to be feeling truly as by myself. But again, too dumb to know any better. So yes, always. So yes, Crystal. The rule is always go with others. Don't listen to Tom. There you go. So
Actually, you're just like a budding investigator. Tom has got more experience, and
I don't.
I don't know if he's told you his stories. He could probably take down the living and the dead.
Yes.
With his moves. Yeah, I would always have somebody. I mean, just because you never know what could happen. You could fall and hurt your ankle, and then there'd be nobody there to help carry you out or cost no help. So it's just a good idea.
It's just not for the paranormal. It's just for safety reasons on its own. But yeah,
and for the paranormal, because you don't know what you might encounter.
It is for a multitude of reasons, not just for one. So Ajang wants you to kind of rehash something. Yes, Ajang, we have asked before, but I am okay to ask these questions again because it was at the very beginning. Maybe I was late popping into your show. Amazed at you. She's amazed at you. Doing professionals, which is not possible in Indonesia, which is where she is. How many years have you been investigating?
Me, it's been over 45 years. I mean, it's been about my whole life.
Formally investigating for me. I mean, I started like right before the shutdown, and had to take time off for that. But I mean, I've had the abilities for a long time, but didn't really start formally investigating as our team and whatnot until about 4.5 years ago.
Yeah, I'm probably the most green on the team because I didn't start investigating until after I had joined the team with Kelly and Michelle. Investigating to gather, baselines or anything like that was not in the realm of my thinking ever. When I did this, it just kind of fell into my lap. And I kind of know what Ajang is talking about because my stepmother is from Indonesia. So I know a little bit about your culture and I know why. And I kind of have that similar situation going on.
it's funny because the Zhang has abilities. We have actually brought those out of her, and she is very good with them. But culture still does not appreciate her abilities out there. She has shared them with some. Her son has abilities as well. I don't know if she knows that or if I just sprung that on her, but but she has abilities, and she was a little timid in using them. But unfortunately, when she was learning about hers, she had a tendency to think that everything was negative. Like all the spirits around her were negative and everything was negative. It's how I was reading it from her when she was asking me a lot of questions. And I had to explain to her, most of the spirits around her are very positive. And it's because when she's playing music, they come out of the woodwork to listen to her play. That's a lot of it. So she understands that now. So she goes ahead. But so I appreciate you three being here because I only see it from a dude's eyes. Not from what you all have to deal with. And Michelle, I kind of have your same concept too, because my grandfather was a Pentecostal preacher. So I have to deal with my religious side as well to help people explain, just because I do this does not mean I do not believe in religion. And it's a very hard balance because everyone's like, oh, well, you've turned to the dark side because you talk to dead people now and they come to you and talk. And that must means that you only see evil. No, not at all. It's not what it is. And there's a misconception what people see on TV and what people see on the movies compared to what real life is. And as Stephanie repeated or mentioned earlier, I started out watching Ghost Adventures when we first started out on this. And that was before everything was a possession on the show. But it's interesting because that's how we started out as well. And then we had to realize that as investigators, all of us as investigators, it's not as cool as that. They're going to clip a lot of stuff out. There's a lot of times we're just sitting there going,
Right?
oh, please make something happen.
I didn't even know that there were people that did that. You know, I
Right?
didn't know that there were people that went into places with these gadgets and took those readings and tried to communicate. I didn't even know that was a thing until Ghost Adventures. So I kind of have to give some credit to them a little bit, and they're funny as hell to watch.
Oh yeah, yeah. So Nikki is popping in with a question that's for the ladies. I already know, I know her answer, but she is asking, okay, ladies, here's my question I ask female investigators. Do you ladies ever feel like you can shut down locations because you are female, as some of the spirits are from a time when women shouldn't be talking that much?
Well, we've been called witches. I don't want to cuss on this probably a family show, but we've been called several things.
Hold on. There you go. Now you can say whatever.
The parental advisories.
Yep. You can say whatever you want now. So,
but yes, Nikki, we have. I mean, I've been told to shut up. Get back in your place.
Get out.
Get
out. I've been called a slut. I've been told, shut up, you effing slut. I mean, and these are by spirits. These aren't by other people. Although I've probably been told that by people too, but, because I just never have nothing to say.
Right. Yeah. It's funny because we'll be in places investigating in their older homes or whatever else. And Nikki will ask a question and you'll hear a spirit go, no, not her. Like, no, she's not allowed to ask. She should be in the other parlor with all the other women. She's not allowed to hear in the cigar room with the men. So it's interesting because, and we used to be part of a team that had 3 ladies on it. And it really kind of cuts the same chord as you 3 do that I see, but you're not shy quiet. If you're going to ask questions, you're going to say something. It's going to happen, and that was the same way as they were. They were boisterous. They were loud. They asked the questions or they made the comments, and a couple times our investigation just shut completely down for the rest of the day because they were like, "No, you're letting the girls talk. We're not playing." So we got that quite a few times just because the girls were there. So
I don't think I've ever had that experience. No, no, because pretty much all the places that I've been to have been heavily dominated by female spirits, except for that one location where, the preacher man came out and was like, "Witches, get out."
Yeah, we were doing SDs when that happened. When I was so with our P.E.R.S team, I drove down to Florida in April, and we went to the May Springer house, and we were doing SD's method. And I don't know where you were, but anyways, I drove down there because I needed something. I needed to go have fun, and we were doing an Estes method, and we kept this one entity. It was a male entity, and it was very loud. He was obnoxious, and he kept calling us saucy and sluts and blah blah blah. And it was funny because he was pretty degrading, and I actually had to stop because I felt cold hands on my back, like he was trying to push me. And then he said my name very loudly in a very gruff manner. And I had what are those goggles? What are those things called?
Delco?
Yes. I had those on, and I was whipping off the headphones, the goggles. I'm like, I'm just done. So he did that to the next investigator, just kind of the same way he did me. So we had a male there, and he puts the goggles on and nothing. And so then we were trying to, and I wouldn't say antagonize this entity, but we were like, oh, so what? Yeah, you're going to give us girls a hard time, but then the dude sits here and you're just going to say nothing. And so that's how that went.
Yeah, we even did a location where Nikki wasn't allowed into a room, and it was because it was a military room, and all the military stuff was set up for a lot of it was a home where people can go in and during the day just kind of roam through the whole house and everything else. But the memorabilia was there, the uniforms and medals, everything else. And it wouldn't even let her into the room. If she would go in, it would just completely shut down. She couldn't move around that room. And it was one person that was in there. There's one military member who was in there. Yeah, see? It's not just me. Kelly, see? But yeah, so it was, but she wasn't allowed in. When she'd go in there, it would just go dead silent. And we couldn't even sit her at the door, but it was like, I know she's still there. You got to go away. And so it wouldn't have her be anywhere close to it. Nikki's also asking, do you ladies feel like the Estes method is stronger or better with people that have abilities compared to someone who does not have abilities?
Well, I don't know the other side of it.
Yeah, that's a hard question for us.
Yeah. You know what? I've been doing this for a long time, and I will say that I was not very in tune with the tools and equipment that investigators use to capture evidence, because I don't need it. But I will say that we love the Estes method, and we use it all the time. So it works well for us. And it does help bring out, if somebody's not willing to give you their name, if you ask them over and over, sometimes through the Estes method, they will.
Right. Yeah. And I know Nikki's asking the question, but for me, watching and just understanding the Estes method, how it works, I don't think it really matters if you have stronger abilities or if you don't have abilities, because all you're doing is listening for the voice to come through, and you're just repeating what it says. So I think if it comes down to abilities or not, for me, it's the abilities when I don't have the headset on that I have to focus on more than when I do have them on. So
I will say, though, I have had it where a word comes through or a name comes through, and I immediately know that's not your name. Don't fill me full of crap.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's happened a couple of times too, where someone said something like, no, wrong, try again.
Yeah.
That's not how the game works. But it's interesting for people who don't have abilities, how they have to rely on the equipment and just kind of hope that the equipment isn't lying to them. And that's I I don't want to say it's a disadvantage, but it's a different way of having to look at things. So it's kind of something you got to pay attention to for some people who do that. Crystal says, I have abilities. I have not used that method yet. I feel like it would be an overwhelming experience. Yeah, what did you guys think when you did it? Is it overwhelming? Is it because they left you in too long? Is it because it was just you have to tell them to slow down? Or what is it that can be overwhelming when you're doing the Estes method?
It can be lots of words in a very short amount of time, and they're jumbled, and there's two different people trying to talk over each other, and all kinds of things like that. But I think you should try it, though. I think you will find it very interesting, and it only takes 1 or 2 times until you get it down well and understand how it works. So
yeah, that's what she's saying. She goes, I would love to love it, but I haven't used it in great locations where I can get anything that I can understand.
Yeah,
sometimes that happens.
Yeah, and it's weird because I don't know.
It takes time to tune your hearing to kind of pick up on those voices better and not focus so much on the noise, the background noise that's coming through.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, Nicole, next time you guys try it, try putting if you're using a spirit box, whatever your device is, try putting it in a Faraday bag so that you don't get that radio sound that comes through. See if that will kind of quiet that down a little bit and not create so much interference.
That's a good idea. Ajang, an Estes method, ladies, go ahead and explain it. She would like to know what an Estes method is. Any one of you?
Ellie.
Don't
take it, Kelly.
All right. So the Estes method is when you take a spirit box and you plug it directly into some noise canceling headphones. Some people will use a blindfold. Like if you ever watch Kindred Spirits, they do the blindfold. Depending on the situation, we usually don't, but we will have a writing pad with us. Sometimes I'll close my eyes. It just depends. But the main thing with the Estes method is that I can't hear the questions that Michelle and Stephanie are asking into the spirit box. They can't hear what I'm hearing in the spirit box. So sometimes it'll come across as 1 or 2 words. I don't know what they mean. I will write the word or words down and say it out loud. And then, it's just a series of questions, and you're writing, you're saying it out loud. Sometimes you'll get 2 words. Sometimes you'll get a sentence. Sometimes you'll just get stuff you have no idea what it means. And so in my brain, I'm thinking, I might get car, 10, red, Jane, Woodstock, Georgia, peaches, whatever. And I'm like, what in the world does, this have to do with anything else? And you take, when you finish the session and take the headphones off, you're looking at your list of words and it's like, did any of this make sense to you guys? Well, of course it makes sense to them because they were the ones asking the questions. But when you're actually in the method, you can't hear what's being said. And there are times when it does get a little bit overwhelming. I mean, I've heard growls. I've heard, we've all heard some pretty bad things. And some of the things that I've heard are a little bit scary. And at that point, you're just like, I'm done. I need to take a break. And you just pass that on to somebody else.
Yeah.
What's fun about the Estes method is that you want to have more than one person do the method, because sometimes we'll put a different person in after someone else has gone, and then we'll ask some very similar questions. And what's cool about that is that after 2 or 3 people have gone in under doing the Estes method, and we start looking at the notes and we tying the questions in with some of the words or answers that we get, we can start building a story. And it's pretty cool because there is a lot of overlap.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would love to do the Estes, but for some reason, whenever we're in the group, I'm the one who's doing the protector. So I can't really go do the Estes because I'm kind of looking at everyone, paying attention to everybody else to making sure nothing's going to happen to them. But at some point, I will get the opportunity to go under it because I hear those things very well. As far as the voices coming through, I seem to pick up on them very quickly. Crystal, it says that is literally how one of my abilities works. With reading energy, I only get pictures of images, like right now, a white daisy and a hummingbird. So yeah, and that happens to a lot of people. They'll get images. A lot of people do that. Bounty Hunter is asking, have you ever tried two people with headphones at the same time?
No.
We haven't. Yeah, we haven't done that together. That would be interesting. I have to find a splicer though, because a lot of the SBs don't have two ports for headphones in.
I've seen it done to where both of you have your own spirit box and sitting on like different locations, and one person or two people in the middle asking questions, and it really bounces off of who resonates with the question better. If there's a couple of different spirits there, they'll like the energy from one specifically instead of trying to soak up the energy from everyone trying to fight for the same spirit box. They'll jump into two different ones. They'll talk to the spirit boxes separately. Oh, Stephanie's
I have to try that. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
we've got a location coming up on the 12th, and that might be something that we can do while we're there.
Something else you guys might want to try, because this will be interesting, because you won't know if it's the voices from the inside or outside of the location. But if you have a property you're going to go to, put someone either inside or outside the house with the Estes method, and the other of you leave completely and go either inside or outside, and ask the questions from there. Because when you do that, you're starting to get answers. You don't know if you're getting questions or answers from the people that are inside the house or from outside the house. Yeah. So, and a lot of times you'll get more communication that way because you're reaching a larger audience in spirit. So, just an idea.
We're going to try it.
And you can also
try it.
you don't want to do a straight up Estes spirit box like that, or Estes session like that. What other people have done too is they've actually put a recorder down next to a speaker, and they'll all go outside with the other side, and they'll actually ask questions. And inside, the recorder is picking up, or the speaker's picking up everything the recorder's doing, or whatever the recorder's picking up everything the speaker's doing, and none of you are even in the house because sometimes we're comfortable talking if you're not around.
We have done that.
We've done that.
So, Stuart is asking, have you ever used a phone with an app for the spirit box?
No.
I have, but I think those are kind of pre-programmed to a degree. Because if you say a word, 10 minutes later, it's going to pop that word up to you.
Yeah, and I just have a hard time working with anything on a phone app simply because the phone is not designed for that.
Yeah.
The equipment we use is designed for what it's designed for. Some people have good stuff with like Necromancer or something like that along those lines for the apps, but I'm just a skeptic for the phone apps. I'd rather use the stuff that's actually built for investigating, but that's just me. So, well, anyone else? I mean, we've been going for like an hour and 20 minutes, ladies. I don't know if you know that or not, but we've been talking pretty good.
It's not by so fast.
It has.
And true, bounty hunting, that's very true. She says, AI can interfere so much, so especially now.
Yes.
That's very true right now. But I think we're at a good stopping point. We've covered quite a bit. And I even had to throw up the parental advisory. So thanks, Kelly. Thanks for having me throw that up. But I appreciate that. But anyway, thank you for coming on. If you would like, feel free to stay in the back room when I push you all back there and we can talk afterwards. If you have to go, you have to go. I understand, but I will pop back into the chat afterwards if you all are still there, if anyone's there, and we'll talk in a minute. But thank you all for coming on and sharing all of your experiences and all your knowledge. I appreciate it. And as always,
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Definitely. Thank you for having us.
But I love you all to death. And you all still have to deal with me because we're all part of the same team, anyways. So it's not like you can run away from me anywhere. So, but I will be right back with you. Again, everybody, right down on the very bottom, if you have not been paying attention to the scroll, please pay attention to the scroll. I'll let it go through a couple more times while they're on here. But Peach State Paranormal on Facebook, just type in Peach State Paranormal, and they are the very first thing that pops up. On Insta, they actually have Peach State Paranormal, all as one word. On X, formerly Twitter, it is Peach ST, the number 8 Para, and you can reach them on Gmail for questions, comments, whatever you may have. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to answer questions or help you in any way they can. So, again, thank you for coming on, ladies. I will throw you in the backstage. I will show it down
Thanks, everyone.
and let
Bye.
them know next. And I will talk to you all in a second. So, bye, guys. All right, everyone, that's my show. Again, thank you for coming on. Let me throw my stuff up really quick so you all have mine. There's mine, Facebook, facebook.com/Stuff I Never Learned, Twitch, twitch.tv, Stuff I Never Learned. YouTube is YouTube TV, youtube.com/@Stuff I Never Learned. And my Gmail is stuffineverlearned@gmail.com. Very simple. And that is simply because I have to remember it too. So if you all want to remember it, that helps you remember it too. Thank you, everybody, for enjoying the show. Thank you for showing up. Let me see what my next show is, because I never know. You know me. This is the last thing I ever look at is what I'm actually doing next. My guests know because I sent them all the information. Let me see. This is the 30th. So the 7th of October. So I will actually have one coming on in a week. And it is going to be someone who does starseed readings. And we will talk all about starseeds and whatever else she wants to talk about. Her name is Holly Bechet. She is fantastic. She is actually the lady who did my starseed reading. And I was associated with 19 different starseeds in one way or another. So it should be a fantastic show. She's a wonderful person. I love her to death as well. But other than that, have a safe week. Take care of everyone. Like, follow, share. I'd appreciate it so we can go ahead and keep growing the community. You are more than welcome to reach out to me any other time as well. You have all my links. Feel free to use them. And I will talk to everyone. Wow, slower and in English. I will talk to everyone later. Have a great